Everybody can stand, please. Oh, here. Look.
It's like 2,000 bottles of beer on the wall. But anyway, that's what happened. So you go from 25th to the 6th, you have 12 days. On January 6th, it was old Christmas. Now the new calendar says, you boys got it wrong. We're going to move the calendar back, and that was done by Pope Gregory, who was also a scientist. And the calendar got changed. And now a lot of people, especially here in the mountains, who came from the British Isles in the early 18th century, they came here. They were so opposed to the Catholic Church and the Church of England, they weren't going to celebrate anything that the Church of England was going to celebrate. My grandma still believed Christmas was January 6th, and all that other foolishness was just that. And bringing a tree into the house was heathen. Because it was the Druids who brought the tree into the house. It was the Druids from the British Isles who brought the Christmas tree and all the greenery into the house, because in her mind it was a heathen religion. But Christmas is a combination of so many cultures that it's almost impossible to believe how many cultures are added into that. For example, did you know that one of the reasons they tell children they better be good or something will happen to them? Because there is a German tradition and a Scandinavian tradition that comes along that says that bad children not only did not get cold, the Krampus would come for them. The Krampus picked out people who were mean and evil and children who were bad and whined and cried, and they would come and get them in the middle of the night and carry them off. Krampus is the son of Hell, and Hell is the god of the underworld in the Scandinavian tradition. His father was Hel, H-E-L. Somebody had another L onto it. It's true. Hell was the god of underground and punishment, and his son Krampus would come and carry the children off. Not only the children, but bad Christians. But how many of y'all who grew up around here, your daddy told you not to go swimming down there at the river because what would happen? Krampus would get you. Have you ever seen a Krampus? Helen knows what a Krampus is, don't you, Helen?
Oh,
What is a Krampus, Helen?
big lizard.
It's a giant salamander that lives in our rivers around here. It's called, well, some people call it they call it the hell lizard. Some people do. But it's a hellbender, and it's like a giant thing. One time I was fishing as a kid, and I of course did not believe anything that they had told me all about that. I was pretty sure that they were just lying to me to keep me out of the river, you know. And until it came up and ate all my fish. I was laying on the bank, and I saw this disturbance in the water. I caught a string of fish that long, and I looked down and I saw, Lord, the awfulest creature in the world. I mean, it had this big old other head, and it was just like, that was huge. Ate my fish right in front of me. Just pulled them all off and carried them into the water. I gave up swimming. Yes, sir, I did. Anyway, so all those things that come together here in the mountains is part of our collective history that comes from Africa, that comes from Germany. I have, on the other side of my family, we were Germans. On the other side of my family, we were what they call the Dunkers. You ever heard of the Dunker Church? They were Dunkers, and the Dunkers are a part of a strain of what used to be, which is the Amish and the Mennonites. They actually came from France, or ended up in all kinds of places. They ended up in Holland, but a lot of the movement to this country, of course, came about because of religious kind of differences that people have. Lots and lots of chances today. But my warnings came when my family would say, "You better watch out, because Santa Claus is coming. You've been a bad girl. He ain't gonna bring you now." Santa Claus brought coal, and Santa Claus brought switches. No, he didn't. Krampus did. Santa Claus was Sinterklaas, German. Sinterklaas. I'll tell you about St. Nicholas in a minute. But you know this song, it does. You better watch out. Better not cry. You better not pout. I'm telling you why. Santa Claus is coming to town. He's making a list, checking the fire. He's gonna find out who's naughty. Santa Claus is coming to town. He sees you when you're sleeping. He knows when you're awake. He knows that you've been bad or good, so be good for goodness sake. Oh, you better watch out. You better not cry. You better not pout. I'm telling you why. Santa Claus is coming to town. Little toy, a little tin drum with a rooty toot toot and a rummy tum tum. Santa Claus is coming to town. He's got curly head dog, cuddling good giraffe. Santa Claus is coming to town. All the kids in boy and girl land will have a jubilee. They're gonna build a toyland town all around that Christmas tree. Oh, you better watch out. You better not cry. You better not pout. I'm telling you why. Santa Claus is coming to town. Oh, Santa Claus is coming to town. Now the picture of Santa Claus we have today, with the beard and the red suit and the fur around his nose, comes from a poem that Clement Moore wrote in about 1889 or 90 something, whatever. But anyway, it was published and he wrote it for his grandchildren. Coca-Cola was beginning to be a company back then. They took that image that Clement Moore wrote, Santa Claus with the long beard and the furry hat and the red suit, and they put it on a serving tray. That image. And that image became the image of Santa Claus that we see today. Little old Coca-Cola. That tray, that first tray that was made back then, is worth $2 million today. That's the reason to say them historical things. So you better watch out, better not, I'm telling you why. Santa Claus is coming to town. Santa Claus is coming. Now sometimes we call Santa Claus St. Nicholas, right? And you all ever heard her called St. Nicholas? Jolly old St. Nicholas, lend your sleigh and Don't you tell a single soul what I'm gonna say. That was that St. Nicholas. St. Nicholas was a real person. He was a bishop in Asia Minor, what we would now call Turkey today. And St. Nicholas was a good man. But in those days, ladies and girls, young girls, people have been singing as long as there's people. In a cave in France, where they found the earliest, what we used to know as the earliest, that's changing all the time. Records of men, there's drawings on the wall. Incredible, really gifted artists. They found a whistle. They found a musical instrument in this earliest representation of human beings. Now, my God may have made us, but He didn't give us a saxophone to start out with. Okay? Nor a fiddle, nor a banjo. We had to come up with all that stuff ourselves. Okay, the way that I play the banjo. Banjo was a gourd drum with a hide string attached, one string. And it was that instrument brought over by African slaves that created the American banjo. American is kind of hard to really believe. This is what we gave to it. We added the fifth string. By itself, it's not much. Like the rest of us, by ourselves, we're not much, but together, we're a pretty good bunch. That's what this country was based on. For the first time in history, the individual was cared about. What we thought and what we did began to govern our lives. It's the only time in history that's ever happened. It's true. And it starts with maybe just one note, one person. But that one note is called the drone string. You know another instrument that has drones in it, right? My wife does. Don't you, honey? Does anybody know what other instrument has a drone that goes with it? The drone string. I hate that. It's a good guess. Bagpipes. How many of y'all plan to be Scots-Irish? You better start sharpening up your history. So when I'm playing the drone string with my thumb. That's what my thumb's doing. My thumb will drop down sometimes and play. Gets the rhythm going. But most of the time it's doing this because guess what else my thumb is doing? It's hitting the drum. The drum's still in there. And then Bill Monroe came along. You know, the rest is history. Brothers always say. Yeah, it's everything after Bill Monroe. Before Bill Monroe, yeah. But you know. And the first song we're going to sing is a song that Bill Monroe made really popular. Y'all will know it, except you probably don't know the verses. You just know the okay. But it goes like this. Christmas time's coming. Christmas time's coming. Christmas time's coming. And I know Christmas is January 6th on our calendar, January 6th. Well, no, sorry. Old Christmas is January 6th. New Christmas is December 25th. That's when we celebrate the New Christmas. But do you know why it went from Old Christmas to changing the calendar and going to December 25th? What was it?
Changing the calendars.
Changing the calendars. Who changed the calendars? Wasn't us. Wasn't us.
Church.
Julie
The church.
That was cold. If I was a school teacher, you young ones would be in trouble right there. It was Pope Gregory, who was a pope back, in what? Pardon? Well, yes, it was not. The calendar got changed. It used to be the Roman calendar, but because Julius Caesar had set the calendar, he set scientists, or scientists we call them, but they were wise men. Did you know that the wise men were scientists? They were astronomers. They actually went looking for a star that only appears once in 1,000 years. They went looking for that star because they knew it was coming. They've been waiting, and so they were looking for the star. And when they found the star, and they found a baby Jesus underneath, that was an extra bonus. But they actually went looking for the star. They were astronomers and scientists who knew that this was going to happen. I don't know when it's going to happen again, but we're not going to be here. Are you? But some of those children, youngins and youngins and youngins and youngins and youngins, that's the way it works. Just might be. What happened was with the old calendar, the January 6th calendar, they forgot. We didn't have leap year. And the calendar was off by 12 days. You ever heard of the 12 days of Christmas? You know the 12 days of Christmas? Just the worst Christmas song ever. He had some fine apple cider. Jesus don't mind if you have a little apple cider. It's good for your stomach. And so he waited. And they're coming on the door. And he went to the door, and there still a little girl, just about and the poor little thing, she didn't have on nothing but a little thin dress. She had a bonnet on her head like this, but she was shivering, and she said, "Mister, would you buy some of my matches?" Back in them days, people had to start firing by hand. Matches was kind of a new thing, and little children could get out on the street and sell them, and that made some money. And she said, "I need to make some money. My mommy has got no job, and we're poor, and we're hungry. Mister, could you buy some matches?" He said, "Child, look at you. You are froze to death. Get in here." And so he brought the little girl in, and he put her up at a fire, and so she could get all thawed out, And then he went over, he took a big leg off of that chicken. He thought, now this child, I'll get her a leg and a thigh too. He got her a leg and a thigh of that chicken. And he set her down at the table with some bread, and yeah, she drank some of that cider because, it's good for your stomach. And she was happy, she was hungry, she got fed. But she was feeling really bad. He said, "I'll buy some matches. Don't be worried, And before she left, he went over to the back cupboard and he took down this little girl's heavy wool cloak. Girls, this is important for you young girls. Did you know that you could not get married unless you had a dowry? A dowry. It wasn't enough that you just went along with that man. That man wouldn't marry you unless you had a dowry, which usually included a chest full of blankets and quilts and stuff that you had made yourself. And they also would include jewelry and money and anything. And when they made a match, you had to have a dowry. And girls that didn't have a dowry went, I don't know where they went. Stayed home mostly because they did not get married. And the story goes like this. In this little town, there was a good man, but he was a poor man. And he had daughters and no dowry for any of those girls. And they were getting up to be, long in the tooth, 18. Yeah, 18, but if you were 20 years old and not married, so St. Nicholas, well, he wasn't a saint then. Bishop Nicholas, he decided that he would do something, but he'd have to do it in secret. And so what he did was he hired this guy to go up on the roof of this man's house and drop gold coins down through the chimney. The girls was drying their nylons, socks. They didn't, they had them socks that they wore. That's the only thing that kept them warm. But working all day, they would get wet, and big old girls sweat. They used to have hair all over their legs. Girl couldn't shave her legs. They was hairy as this man right here. Yes, they was. That's why the dowries had to come into play. I don't know hairy woman. That's okay. You got her. So these girls had dried their stockings by the fireplace every night, and they laid them out. And what happened? This guy dropped the coins down. Some of the coins rolled in to the stocking. This is a true story. You think this is just made up stuff? No, the other stuff is made up stuff. This is true. In the stocking, the coins went. The girls woke up the next morning. One of them had enough money for a dowry. The other two were like, oh, no. So old Nicholas, being the good man that he was, he rolled coins down the chimney. And then when everybody in town heard about stockings hung by a chimney, guess what happened? Hanging them stockings, waiting for something to happen. And so they didn't have no money, so they just stuck an apple in it. Like, oh, I got an apple. Woo! Yeah. So that's what happened. I'm telling you. Nicholas became St. Nicholas not only for all his good and kind acts, but because he was able to cure people. Maybe because he was a good, kind man and thought more about himself, and he was worried more about those girls than he was his own money. But now I'm telling you what, you better watch out, and you better not cry. You better not pout. I'm telling you what, St. Nicholas ain't coming to town. No, that was a long time ago. He's gone. Santa Claus, however, took up the job, and he's still doing it, I reckon. But now, when I was a little boy and went to school, the two-room school that I went to a two-room school until I was in the 8th grade. Over in Dickens County in Virginia. Well, we're still in Virginia here, right? Sometimes we wonder about Russell County, but I went to a two-room school until I was in the 8th grade. And then, Lord of mercy, I had to leave the community entirely, travel to Clintwood. Oh man, I don't know how we ever made that trip. But in that little two-room school, we sang every day. We sang all kinds of strange stuff. Like, do you wash and brush your teeth, Danny boy, Billy boy? Do you wash and brush your teeth, Tom and Billy? Do you wash and brush your teeth up and down and underneath? I'm a wise boy, but some boys are silly. That's how they got us to brush your teeth. It was songs like that. But we also, it's Christmas time, that was when it was the most fun, because we sang wonderful songs. And when I was a little boy, I was talking about shoes a while ago. They were made on what they call a stake and last. You would get a pair of shoes, and you couldn't wear them out because Daddy or Grandpa wanted them. They would just put a new sole on, They put a new heel on, you'd have a brand new pair of shoes. And a pair of brogans. Brogan, you know what a brogan is? Where'd that word come from? Brogan. Well, anyway, you think about that. I'm not going to tell you everything. But they made a steak and last, and they had a little shoe about that big for the baby, and one for the boy, and one for the little girl, and mommy and daddy, and they all had, according to the size of their feet. They'd slip the shoe over, and it would be turned upside down. They could put a sole on, they could put a heel on, your shoe would be fixed, you're back out on the road. And that's what happened. Now, my grandma had a little bitty cobbler's hammer. Those people were called cobblers. You probably heard somebody called a cobbler before, ain't you? My daddy was a cobbler, except that meant he just kind of did whatever it took to get the job done, you know. But anyway, these cobblers had the steak and last. The steak stood straight like this, and you put the meat on top of it. And we had one Christmas time. My grandma had this beautiful little hammer. Oh, this beautiful little hammer. I was in love with that hammer. I would have swapped my sister for that hammer. She didn't look nearly as good. Beautiful little hammer with a walnut handle. My grandma would not let me play with that car. This is not a toy. Yeah. Well, anyway, come Christmas time, I know what was going to happen. Grandma would let me play with the hammer. She'd drag out about 100 pounds of black walnuts. Put one bag on one side of me and one bag on the other side of me, sit me down in a chair with that steak and last in the middle of me, hand me that hammer and go, now you go right ahead, honey. And just play as long as you want to. Honey, I cracked 100-pound walnuts and I thought I was having fun. So this was my favorite song, what we sang at Christmas time at school. Up on the housetop, reindeer pop, I'm just good as Santa Claus, down to the chimney with my sweet all for the little ones Christmas song. Oh, 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 who wouldn't go? Oh, 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 who wouldn't go? Up on the housetop, click, 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 down to the chimney with my Saint Nick. So there's old Saint Nick up on the chimney again. Now first comes the stocking of a little Nell. Oh, dear Santa, feel it well. Give her a hammer that lasts and tries. One that open and shut and fire. Oh, 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 who wouldn't go? Oh, 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 who wouldn't go? Up on the housetop, click, 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 down through the chimney with the good Saint Nick. Your job from now on is to say about every 5 minutes. Go over and open up that door. Let her fly. And hold it open for about 5 minutes. And I won't die. Yes, comes the stocking of the little wheel. Oh, just see what a glorious still minister. And his brother-in-law said to James, you know, James, you're a poet. I need a song for Thanksgiving for the children so we can sing something that's uplifting and, you know, happy. I want you to write me a song. So James said, okay. So James went over to think. He would go down to the straight. It's like the table was the straight like this, you know, but it was like a mile of it. And the boys would drag race. Oh yeah, boys was drag racing as soon as they got 2 legs on them. It didn't matter. Boys is going to race something because it's got to be about a competition. And so what these boys had was horses and sleighs on a frozen road. And I mean to tell you, you think about, okay, these horses, no, these were trotters. These horses could trot a mile under 3 minutes. These horses were going 20 miles an hour down an ice-filled road with these little boys behind them, you know. It's Old James went down and watched the races, and guess what he did? He wrote this song right here. Dashing through the snow in a one-horse open sleigh, Oh, the fields we go, laughing all the way. Now bells on bobtails ring, waking spirits bright. Oh, it is to ride and sleigh something night. Oh, jingle bells, jingle all the way. Oh, what fun it is to ride in a one-horse open sleigh. Hey, jingle bells, jingle all the way. Oh, what fun it is to ride in a one-horse open sleigh. Now a day or two ago, I thought I'd take a ride, and soon Miss Fanny Bride was seated by my side. That horse was leading lane, misfortune seemed his lot. We got into a drifting bank and we got to stop. Oh, jingle bells, jingle all the way. Oh, what fun it is to ride in a one-horse open sleigh. Jingle bells, jingle all the way. Oh, what fun it is to ride in a one-horse open sleigh. Now there's another verse. Okay, you're looking at your book, right? And you don't see another verse, do you? While the ground is white, just go it while you're young. Get a sleigh tonight, gal tonight. Oh man, I left out the most important part. Somehow or other, this don't sound like a children's song to me. Just get a gal tonight and sing that same song and get a bobtail nag. 2:40 for his feet, 2 minutes and 40 seconds. Trot a mile. Hitch him to an open sleigh and crack, you'll take the lead. Whoa, jingle bells, jingle all the way. Oh, what fun it is to ride in one horse open sleigh. Jingle bells, jingle all the way. Oh, what fun it is to ride in one horse open sleigh. Last verse, the unknown verse, better known as the Beatles' forgotten verse. A day or two ago, a story I will tell. I went out for a walk, and on my back I fell. A gent come riding by in a one-horse open sleigh. He looked as I heard sprawling, woo! And he laughed and run away. Hey, jingle bells, jingle all the way. Oh, what fun it is to ride in a one-horse open sleigh. Hey, jingle bells, jingle all the way. Oh, what fun it is to ride in a one-horse open sleigh. Oh, what fun it is to ride in a one-horse open sleigh. True story, James Bond. James moved from
Color, how to retrieve color. Present arms. Retrieve colors. Forward.